It is a prototype lunar reflector that was designed to be placed on the moon in the Apollo 11 program, which my father was in charge of lunar cartography for NASA, and this was his pet project.
In 1969, the Apollo program reached its defining moment with humanity's first successful lunar landing. And among the scientific instruments left on the moon was the Lunar Laser Ranging Retroreflector, a precision array of mirrors that still allows scientists on Earth to bounce laser beams off the moon and measure its distance with astonishing accuracy. This model helps visualize how the system works, replicating an array of small, precisely angled prisms that reflect incoming light straight back to its source, no matter the angle. An elegant demonstration of the science behind lunar laser ranging. Inside the model, the reflectors are arranged in a flat geometric grid, closely echoing the actual reflector panels astronauts deployed on the lunar surface during the Apollo missions. On a cultural level, this Apollo 2 lunar reflector model captures the era's deep belief in science, measurement, and exploration, when space-age technology quickly moved from classified engineering into classrooms, museums, and the public imagination. Models like this are prized space race artifacts, representing the moment humanity began using the moon itself as a scientific instrument, one of the most enduring and quietly remarkable legacies of the Apollo era.
I think at auction, we'd be talking something like conservatively in the $5,000 to $7,000 range.
Wow.
But I think some upside potential.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My grandpa was kind of a wheeler dealer, and he liked to go out and make a deal and barter and trade, and this was something he came home with, one of many unique items that he came home with.
When you got it, did you like it? What did you think?
Not at all. When we were cleaning out the house that I got it from, I was on the verge of giving it to Goodwill or Salvation Army. And my husband said, let's take it home and take a little bit closer look at it. It was one of those things that was kind of always in my family, kind of always hanging out in the background that I never really liked. I actually thought it was kind of an ugly vase.
Okay, that's fair.
So it is now in my home, and I'm just curious what the value of it is.
Okay.
On the bottom, there's a marking, and we did go online and find out that Guido Gambone, I think is how you say his last name.
Gamboni?
Was the maker of the vase, and it was made in Italy.
Let's take a look at that mark on the bottom. On the bottom, there's a donkey.
Yes.
And below that, it says Gamboni.
Yes.
And then below that, it says Italy. Guido Gamboni.
Yes.
Lived from 1909 to 1969.
Right.
And his pottery company in Italy, after World War II, they made some really interesting things in the 1950s and 1960s. This particular vase would probably date from the 1950s or 1960s.
By the late 1950s and early 1960s, Italy was experiencing a cultural and economic renaissance as designers and artists moved away from strict classical traditions toward bold experimental modernism in the decorative arts. By this time, Guido Gambone was already internationally recognized, especially in the United States, where his work was sold through leading galleries and design shops and embraced by collectors who valued handmade individuality over mass production. He deliberately rejected factory uniformity in favor of expressive surfaces and organic forms, aligning himself with the international studio pottery movement, a philosophy clearly embodied in this vase. The surface features a richly textured glaze adorned with geometric, abstracted motifs inspired by animals, symbols, and so-called primitive art. Its intentionally lopsided form reveals the coiling technique when viewed from the interior, showing that the vessel was built up on the wheel and then carefully shaped and smoothed by hand. Collectors prize Guido Gambone vases as authentic expressions of post-war creativity, capturing the energy, innovation, and artistic freedom of mid-century Italian ceramics.
I would believe that a retail price would be somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, okay.
My mother had a K guitar that was her favorite, she'd owned for many years. And after a show one night, it's my understanding that the guitar did not get loaded into the car correctly. they actually backed over it and destroyed her K guitar.
Oh, no, okay.
And so my father special ordered this guitar as a replacement to her favorite guitar.
What possessed him to order a double neck?
Probably guilt for running over her guitar. And this was probably the most expensive guitar that Gibson made.
I would have thought. Well, you already know it's a very rare model.
Correct.
It's a Gibson model double 12, 6 and 12-string neck guitar, made by the Gibson Guitar Company in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And in fact, you have a catalog here, and in the catalog it shows the guitar a little differently. It shows it without this center pickguard right here. At the time, the guitar cost $600, and the case cost $90.
Around 1960, popular music was rapidly evolving. Folk revivalists and early rock and roll musicians sought the fuller, chiming sound of acoustic 12 strings, but amplified for louder, electrified performances. Gibson, already a leader in electric guitar innovation, responded by experimenting with electric 12-string designs. The double 12 electric guitar was among Gibson's first production electric 12-string models, preceding the British invasion boom that would later popularize the instrument. Produced in very limited numbers, the double 12 delivered a unique tone, bright, chiming, and slightly raw, that anticipated the jangly electric sounds that would soon define rock music. Its body was based on the Les Paul Jr. style slab, emphasizing simplicity and resonance. The guitar featured a widened neck to accommodate 12 strings, a significant technical challenge at the time, and a distinctive elongated headstock with 12 tuning machines, showcasing Gibson's inventive engineering. Today, the Gibson Double 12 is prized not only for its rarity, but also for embodying Gibson's early vision of expanded electric guitar tonality.
So scarce that I think if you were a collector that didn't have one, you might pay retail somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 for it.
Wow.
Where did your great aunt live?
Provincetown.
So these are works by Lynn Drexler. Lynn Drexler was born in 1928 in Virginia and then moved to New York in the mid-50s to study with Hans Hofmann. Hans Hofmann was a very famous painter. He'd come from Germany, and he had an art school in New York City. He was a teacher, and also later he had a school in Provincetown, Massachusetts. And many, many important artists from the second half of the 20th century studied with Hans Hofmann. So he's considered one of the great teachers and abstract artists of the 20th century. Lynn Drexler passed away in 1999 on Monhegan Island in Maine, where she had moved for the last years of her life. Lynn Drexler was considered an abstract expressionist. These are great examples of her work. This piece is from 1959, and this piece is from 1961.
By the late 1950s, after studying with Hans Hofmann and Robert Motherwell in New York, Drexler had begun developing a distinctive personal style characterized by vibrant color, rhythmic brushwork, and dense clusters of painterly marks that emphasized color over strict geometry. These early canvases mark her transition from student to professional artist and reflect her engagement with the dynamic, abstract expressionist milieu of Greenwich Village, including gatherings at the Cedar Tavern and the 8th Street Artist Club. Around 1959, when the first painting was created, Drexler's oil works began to exhibit her signature style, energetic fields of swatch-like strokes producing shimmering surfaces and luminous color relationships. This approach demonstrates her interest in combining emotional expression with visual rhythm, often inspired by music and nature rather than literal representation. By 1961, the year of her first solo exhibition at the artist-run Tanager Gallery in New York, and the completion of the second painting, Drexler had refined these ideas further. Rich with contrasting hues and rhythmic forms, this work demonstrates her move toward a mature abstract language that aligned her with second-generation abstract expressionists, even as she remained stylistically independent. The bold use of color and tactile surface quality of her oils from this period helped establish her reputation among peers and collectors. These early works prefigure her later celebrated canvases, which continued to explore the expressive potential of color and surface through the 1960s and beyond, including pieces inspired by landscapes and her later life on Monhegan Island.
If the smaller painting were to come to auction, I believe that value would be $50,000 to $70,000.
Wow. Wow. Who would have known? Just a small little painting that I've had on my wall for 15 years. That's amazing.
And the larger painting, I believe if this painting were at auction, it would sell for between $300,000 and $500,000.
Oh my goodness. I'm speechless. Wow. I mean, I've always just liked them, but I would never have imagined. That's fantastic.
This was originally a part of a law firm, and now I own that law firm. The painting came included with it.
Do you want to tell us who this is? Who did this?
I believe it's Bert Proctor.
Bert Proctor, that's correct. And he was another of these artists who he originally lived on the East Coast, but was totally smitten with the idea of the West and cowboys and horse riding. He was a very avid horse rider himself. When he was about 8 years old, his family moved to Illinois. He studied at the Art Institute of Chicago. He went to LA and was a mining engineer, and then he came back to New York and he studied illustration with people like Harvey Dunn, so he's known as an illustrator too. But his real passion, as I say, was the West, and eventually moved out there to California. And this is very typical painting by him. Proctor's not known necessarily for dating his paintings, but I would think this one is probably painted circa 1960 or so.
Around 1960, Bert Proctor was working during a period when American artists explored expressive color, abstraction, and regional themes, often bridging realism with more experimental approaches. His work frequently captured landscapes, everyday scenes, or subtly stylized figures, rendered with sensitivity to light, composition, and painterly texture. Proctor's oil paintings from this era, like the showcased example, demonstrate a commitment to classical oil techniques, layered brushwork, rich pigment, and careful attention to tonal balance, while engaging with contemporary interests in emotional and visual expression. This painting beautifully depicts a tribal woman from one of Mexico's indigenous communities, seated and holding what appears to be a hand fan. Today, Bert Proctor's oil paintings are appreciated both as documents of mid-20th century American art and as examples of the artist's nuanced mastery of oil as a medium.
At auction, I've seen ones similar selling for $6,000 to $10,000.
Oh, wow.
And I think if you're insuring it, you probably shouldn't insure it for anything less than about $15,000.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
It's an F1 poster, Monaco. My husband and I bought it for our anniversary maybe 5 years ago.
Have you ever been to a race before?
We have in Miami. It was really hot, really hot in Miami.
And where did you get this?
I think it was Aspen.
How much did you pay for it?
I think it was $1,200.
You have to be like a really big Formula One fan.
Yes, to pay that much. But we love it, and so we were willing to spend it.
The Monaco Grand Prix is the Grand Prix of Grand Prix. Began in 1929. Every year that the race was run, there was a poster advertising the race. And beginning in 1964 to 1970, Michael Turner designed those posters for the race. Michael Turner is a very accomplished and very famous automobile artist.
The Monaco Grand Prix is one of the most prestigious and iconic races in motorsport, celebrated for its glamour, difficulty, and rich history. The first Monaco Grand Prix was held on April 14, 1929. It was organized by Prince Louis II of Monaco to promote the principality and showcase it as a glamorous destination. The race was immediately distinctive because it took place on the narrow, winding streets of Monte Carlo rather than on a traditional race track. By 1966, Formula One was entering a golden era, and the Monaco Grand Prix was already established as one of the sport's most prestigious and glamorous events. Michael Turner, renowned for his dynamic, detailed motorsport illustrations that blended technical accuracy with a sense of motion and excitement, was commissioned to produce official posters and commercial artwork for numerous racing events in Europe during the 1960s, helping define the visual culture of Formula One. Turner often depicted cars in action, emphasizing speed, curves, and elevation changes, giving viewers a visceral sense of the race. In this example, we see cars racing against the stunning Monaco scenery. Bright, saturated colors highlight the cars, spectators, and cityscape, combining realism with graphic clarity. This poster exemplifies the intersection of art and motorsport in the 1960s. It was more than promotional material. It was a collectible piece celebrating engineering, competition, and the glamour of Grand Prix culture.
If this were to come up for auction now, I'd estimate it between $2,500 and $3,500.
Oh, okay. Wow. Nice, nice. Wow. And I said I wouldn't say wow, like everyone else. I would say wow.
Well, I feel like I have the dynamic duo of brothers, collectors, so lay it on me. What's the story?
Well, we started doing this about, about 45 years ago. It started out very simply. He was actually in the Air Force, and one year he came up for Christmas, and I was a young teenager, and he bought me a box of comics. And then the next year he bought a second box, and we put them together, and we thought, well, let's see if we can start filling in some of these numbers that we're missing.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just went
Grew and grew.
crazy.
Do you remember what you paid?
It's probably 100 or less for every single one of them on the table.
I'm just curious, out of the whole selection we have here today, did you guys have a favorite or particular book that you thought was your best one?
Just from quality and cleanness, probably Fantastic Four #1.
November 1961, Fantastic Four is the birth of the Silver Age of Marvel Comics. Everything shown is between 1961 and 1966.
The Silver Age of comics began when superhero stories were reintroduced to an entirely new generation of readers. Marvel's real revolution kicked off in 1961 when Stan Lee, working alongside artists Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, changed the way comic stories were told. Instead of perfect mythic heroes, Marvel gave us characters with real human flaws, emotional depth, and everyday problems, often set in familiar places like New York City. For the first time, superheroes felt relatable. This era saw the birth of the core Marvel universe, including Amazing Fantasy #15 from 1962, the landmark issue that introduced Spider-Man, along with the unforgettable Uncle Ben and Aunt May. Another standout in this collection is The Incredible Hulk #1, the groundbreaking issue that introduced Dr. Bruce Banner and his monstrous alter ego. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, it established the foundation for one of Marvel's most complex and enduring characters. Also on display is X-Men #1, featuring the first appearance of the X-Men and their iconic adversary, Magneto. Created by Lee and Kirby, it introduced the powerful idea of mutants, individuals feared and hated by a world they are sworn to protect. Equally significant is Fantastic Four #1, widely regarded as the comic that launched the modern Marvel age. Rather than traditional superheroes, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby introduced a group of flawed, relatable characters who functioned more like a dysfunctional family than a polished super team. Today, Marvel Silver Age comics from the 1960s are highly prized, not just for their historic first appearances, but for redefining superhero storytelling and laying the foundation for the films, television series, and global pop culture phenomena we know today.
We're looking pretty and restored. It's the 7 to 10,000. So as a package today, if all of these were to be professionally graded, conservatively for the group, we'd be looking at 60 to 90,000 at auction.
Wow. Okay, that's
Nice.
still good.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
good.
take it.
We'll take it. What you brought in today?
Well, I brought in today my battery-operated toy space station. I've had it for 60 years. I'm the original owner of it. My dad gave it to me for Christmas when I was about 8 years old in the early 60s.
Did you play with it much?
You know, I did, although when I was a kid, D-cell batteries were kind of hard to come by in our house, so I played with it, but it didn't run a lot.
The reason I ask is it's a relatively fragile toy. And it looks like it's complete, and all the pieces are here, and it's in relatively good shape. You don't happen to have the box that it came in, do you?
I do not have the box. I had some interesting toys, but I was never a box keeper.
What we have here is a Japanese 1960s space toy. It's a refueling station, which is quite unusual. More oftentimes we'll see rocket ships, satellite dishes. Space travel was very popular for 1960s. This one is made by a company called Waco, and they're made out of tin plate with lithography, so they're colorful and flashy, so it is quite rare. When grading an antique toy like this, there are really two considerations to be had: condition and rarity.
Around 1960, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union was accelerating rapidly. Rocket launches, satellites, and visions of future space travel dominated popular media, inspiring toy manufacturers to produce space-themed playsets that blended science fiction with emerging real-world technology. Waco was among the companies that capitalized on this enthusiasm, creating imaginative space toys designed to spark curiosity and optimism about humanity's future beyond Earth. The Waco Space Refuel Station toy was conceived as a futuristic service hub in outer space, echoing mid-century predictions that space travel would soon become routine. It features modular station components, docking areas for rockets or spacecraft, and bold atomic-age graphics and colors. The toy runs on D-cell batteries and is activated by a switch on the side, which sets its revolving movement in motion, mimicking the operation of a real space refueling station. Toys like this helped introduce children to ideas of orbital stations, refueling in space, and long-distance exploration, concepts that were still largely theoretical at the time. Collectors appreciate these toys not only for their rarity, but also for the sense of wonder and possibility they represent. A time when space was seen as the next great frontier and the future felt limitless.
Given that the toy is as rare as it is, I'm sure it would be a welcome addition to any collection. The value is probably somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000, as is. Should it have had the box, we could probably triple that value and get somewhere near $10,000.
Wow, I'm glad to hear that. I've been proud to own it and pleased to still have it.
My mother gave it to me about 10 years ago. I'm sure that she bought it at a garage sale or an estate sale because that was what she enjoyed doing. I have no idea what she paid for it.
You brought us a charming piece of Bjorn Windblad's work. Born in Copenhagen in 1918, very accomplished artist, designer. I think this may be the first piece of his work we've ever had on the Antiques Roadshow.
Oh my.
This piece is dated 1965.
Bjørn Wienblad was a prolific Danish painter, designer, and ceramist, celebrated for his whimsical, richly decorative style that stood in deliberate contrast to the minimalist ideals of mid-century Nordic modernism. At a time when Scandinavian design emphasized clean lines and functional restraint, Wienblad embraced fantasy, ornament, and narrative, drawing inspiration from fairy tales, opera, folklore, and the rhythms of the natural world. This figure, titled Autumn, belongs to a broader series of seasonal and allegorical works that reflect Wienblad's fascination with symbolism, mood, and poetic storytelling. The elongated, stylized figure features a serene, dreamlike expression and flowing garments rendered in warm autumnal hues, adorned with Wienblad's signature hand-painted floral motifs. Its gentle presence evokes themes of harvest, abundance, maturity, and transition, qualities traditionally associated with the autumn season. Collectors prize works like this not only as decorative objects, but as poetic expressions embodying the warmth, imagination, and gentle eccentricity that define Bjørn Wienblad's enduring artistic legacy.
I think given the fact that this is an early piece from 1965, that an auction value would be somewhere in the $700 to $900 range.
Oh my.
So she's cute as she can be, and if this is the first time we've had a Bjorn Windblad piece on, it's a good one to start off with.
I found it in my parents' garage about 5 years ago, tucked away behind a bunch of boxes. At first I had no idea what it was, but it seemed relatively significant. So I pulled it out, and lo and behold, my father would tell me, oh, that's the dolly. Apparently, my uncle owned an art gallery in Chicago back in the day, and my father either gave him a loan or invested in the gallery a while back, and this was repayment of the debt or a thank you for the investment.
Did your dad have any idea what it was? I mean,
He
aside
did.
from the dolly?
He did, not aside from knowing that it was a dolly. I think he just liked the way it looked. I'm not even sure if he got to pick exactly what he got. But other than that, that's all he's told me, and that's all I know. It's sat in my basement ever since. It's not in the best condition, so...
Is this how you found it?
Yes. I sprayed some Windex on the glass this morning before I brought it in, maybe
Nice.
wiped a few cobwebs
Nice
off,
work.
but that's it.
Salvador Dali was a Spanish surrealist artist celebrated for his extraordinary technical skill, razor-sharp draftsmanship, and the unforgettable, often bizarre, imagery that defined his work. By 1965, Dali was one of the most famous artists in the world. He was no longer just a central figure of surrealism, but a global cultural icon. During this period, he was producing limited edition lithographs like this one, reworking earlier ideas for a new generation of collectors at a time when printmaking allowed modern art to reach a much wider audience. Titled Drawers of Memory, this lithograph revisits imagery Dali first explored in the 1930s, when surrealism was at its peak. The image of human figures with open drawers is one of Dali's most recognizable inventions. Influenced by Sigmund Freud's theories of the unconscious, the drawers represent hidden memories and desires, psychological compartments of the mind, and the tension between what we show the world and what remains concealed within. In this later lithographic version, Dali refines the theme with precise line work and controlled color, emphasizing memory as something that is both fragile and enduring. Today, this piece is valued not just for its imagery, but for what it suggests. That for Dali, memory was never fixed. It was an endless series of drawers, always open and waiting to be explored.
The original, I would hope like a 1 to 2,000 or something like that?
Well, only 150 of these were made, so
Okay.
it's fairly scarce from 1965.
Mhm.
I would put a replacement value on this at $30,000.
Are you kidding me? Woo! Already. That is more than I expected.
Well, congratulations. It's a great print, and take good care of it.
Yeah, I think I'll put a new mat on it.
Thank your parents for it.
Yes, I will do that as well. My dad might want to take it back now. I'm not sure.
This is from the Beatles Apple Boutique. I was there in 1968 in London. I got homesick and decided to spend all my money and get these clothes and come home early.
So you chose clothes over staying in London?
I was there for 6 weeks, and I was going to stay another month, but I just fell in love with the clothes.
The clothes you bought are completely iconic from the late 60s. Do you know anything about the Apple Boutique?
Yes, I was there when it had only been open for a few weeks. It was open for 7 months, I think, before they closed it.
That's right. They were open in December. They had a big party. Patty Harrison, Eric Clapton, a lot of the pop icons of the time were there. This was the first business venture of the Beatles outside of entertainment.
Yes.
And it's the first actual Apple logo that the Beatles used outside of the record world. And all of your pieces have this fabulous label here with the psychedelic apple.
The Apple Boutique was a short-lived fashion store launched by the Beatles under their new company, Apple Corps, at 94 Baker Street in London's Marylebone district in late 1967. As Paul McCartney put it, the goal was to create a beautiful place where beautiful people can buy beautiful things. The boutique offered clothing, accessories, art, and fashion items with a distinctly 60s psychedelic style, much of it designed or curated by the Dutch design collective, The Fool. Its exterior became instantly iconic, covered in a vibrant psychedelic mural, though local authorities eventually ordered it painted over due to lack of permission. Garments from the Aunt Apple boutique are notable for bold, hand-painted patterns, vivid colors, experimental cuts inspired by Carnaby Street and mod fashion, and a playful mix of Eastern, Victorian, and futuristic influences. Designers treated each piece as wearable art rather than mass-produced clothing. The shop closed in 1968 after just a few months, largely due to financial mismanagement. Despite its brief existence, surviving Apple boutique garments are now rare and highly collectible, emblematic of the creative spirit of the late 1960s.
I think this collection would be valued between $15,000 and $17,500.
Wonderful.
Easily. This dress woven with a very psychedelic pattern and early lurex, which is the sparkly threads. I noticed that it has a tag hanging on it. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I didn't realize that I still had the tag until just recently, and I thought, I've never wore this one. It's just
well, that
in
one
the
actually makes it more valuable that you haven't worn it. So that one's probably worth 20% more than the others. So I would put that one at $3,500 to $4,000.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I bought them a few years ago from a garage sale. They were with a number of dorm-type posters, and I knew I was buying a piece of history. I knew it was an important piece of history, but I really haven't had a chance to really research them. I figured they were from probably the early to mid-1960s based on their content.
And how much did you pay for them?
Well, I paid 25 cents a piece for them, and I think they charged me that because they do have some holes and a little bit of wear.
Quite frankly, they have been used. They have tape marks in the corners where they were taped to the walls. You'll notice on each there's a tear, and when they were all rolled together, at some point they were torn in the same place, and some animals got to them. There were little nibbles taken out.
Seems so.
They look like dorm room posters. But more than just dorm room posters, as you said, they're a piece of history. And more than just a piece of history, they're a piece of recent history. They're pieces of the civil rights movement in America. Now, these three photos were taken by a photographer named Danny Lyon.
In the 1960s, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee led efforts to challenge segregation and racial injustice in the American South through sit-ins, freedom rides, voter registration drives, and other direct action campaigns. Photographer and activist Danny Lyon documented these events with an unflinching eye, capturing both the struggle and the hope of the movement. SNCC posters often featured Lyon's photographs or drew inspiration from his imagery, serving as tools for mobilization and awareness. Displayed in community centers, college campuses, and public spaces, they promoted marches, rallies, and fundraising efforts, directly linking visual media to activism. Many of these posters include images taken by Lyon at pivotal events, including the 1963 March on Washington, where Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. One particularly striking poster, titled "Come Let Us Build a New World Together," features a photograph of three African-American men, each on one knee, including John Lewis, the civil rights activist and longtime U.S. congressman from Georgia's 5th District. These posters were more than promotional tools. They were instruments of social change. They brought national attention to the civil rights struggle, galvanized local communities, and demonstrated the power of photography and graphic design in shaping political activism.
I would estimate these three posters between $7,000 and $10,000.
Okay.
And as I understand it, you paid 75 cents.
Yes, I did.
I'm a little better at history than I am at math, but that's a very good return.
Yeah.
The John Lewis poster came up for sale as recently as March 2018, the first and only time it's ever come up for auction, and in perfect condition, it sold for $6,500.
Well, we've always been big Packer fans in my family, and my parents had first row seats at the Ice Bowl, about the 30-yard line, and after the game, my dad brought this home.
He brought it home. It was his souvenir from the Ice Bowl.
Yes.
The 1967 NFL championship game between the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys, famously known as the Ice Bowl, was played at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, under brutally cold conditions. Temperatures dropped to negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chills near negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the coldest games in NFL history. This championship determined who would represent the NFL in the first ever Super Bowl, giving the contest enormous stakes. One of the most iconic moments came in the final seconds when Packers quarterback Bart Starr executed his legendary quarterback sneak to score the decisive touchdown and secure victory. The win cemented the Packers' legacy under coach Vince Lombardi, already a symbol of excellence and discipline in football. After the game, fans stormed the field and tore down the goalposts. During this celebration, the guest's father unscrewed this colorful sign, preserving a tangible piece of that historic day. The sign's color scheme and the central letter G indicate it represented the Green Bay Packers. Its significance is further enhanced by the signatures of Jerry Kramer and Doug Hart, two key players from the game. Today, such signs are prized as sports historical artifacts, embodying not only a championship victory, but also the resilience, drama, and cultural importance of football in American history.
I got to tell you, I think it would be at least $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, wow.
And I just want to thank you for bringing the coolest piece possible into the Roadshow.
Thank you.
I brought a signed photograph of Cassius Clay. A lot of people know him as Muhammad Ali, but at that time he was Cassius Clay.
Okay. And how'd you get it?
When I was around 8 years old, Cassius Clay lived in our neighborhood. Probably not by his choice, but prior to him fighting Sonny Liston for the championship, he lived in our neighborhood and he would run around the park. And all the little kids would run around following him and chasing him and mimicking him as he was practicing his boxing. So after he would do that, he would invite us over to his house for hot dogs and Kool-Aid. We thought that was the best thing in the world. But prior to that, we had to listen to him. So he'd teach us what I now know as life stories, telling us to be good kids.
In 1964, Cassius Clay was one of the most electrifying rising stars in professional boxing. That February, he stunned the sports world by defeating Sonny Liston to win the World Heavyweight Championship, using an unorthodox style marked by lightning-fast speed, sharp reflexes, and an unforgettable personality. After the fight, Clay famously declared, "I'm the greatest," a bold statement that would soon become one of the most iconic phrases in sports history. Not long after his victory over Liston, Clay joined the Nation of Islam and announced that he would no longer be known by his birth name, instead adopting the name Muhammad Ali. At the time, the decision was controversial, but it marked the beginning of his influence far beyond the boxing ring. This photograph captures Ali at a pivotal moment, taken when he was still known as Cassius Clay, standing on the threshold of global fame and cultural transformation. What makes it especially rare is that it was signed twice by Ali, an uncommon detail that adds both character and value. Today, this photograph is treasured not just as a boxing collectible, but as a powerful piece of American history, representing a man who would go on to reshape sports, challenge social norms, and leave an enduring mark on the world.
We think that at auction, this would fetch a price between $5,000 to $7,000.
No way.
Yeah.
5,000 to 7,000?
Yeah. We'd insure it for considerably more. We'd insure it for about $10,000.
Wow. This been hanging up on my wall in the house, and it'll go back up on the wall, but I have to watch who comes in the house now. Well, golly, I never thought it'd be worth $5,000 to $7,000.
It's a great piece.
By the mid-1960s, surfing was quickly transforming from a laid-back regional pastime into a defining symbol of youth culture in California and Hawaii. Board design was changing just as fast. Lighter materials, experimental shapes, and eye-catching logos were taking over, leaving behind the heavier, traditional longboards of the 1950s. This was also the era when smaller, shaper-driven surfboard labels really began to shine. These boards weren't mass-produced. They were built locally, by hand, and often tailored to individual surfers. Blue Machine emerged right in the middle of this creative moment, rooted in the garage-style surfboard scene that valued performance, individuality, and bold visual impact. Each board reflected the personality and skill of the shaper behind it. What makes this surfboard especially special is its timing and design. It retains classic longboard proportions from just before the shortboard revolution took over. It's constructed from foam and fiberglass, a major shift away from earlier balsa boards, and it was hand-shaped for speed, trim, and smooth flowing maneuverability in the water. Today, collectors and surf historians value Blue Machine boards not just for their rarity, but because they capture a brief, influential moment when surfing was still deeply personal, inventive, and shaped by the hands of individual craftsmen rather than factories.
At auction, this would probably be in the $5,000 to $8,000 range.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, better than 50 bucks.
So we inherited it in 1991 when she came to live with us, but I must confess that I'm not very fond of it. My husband loves it, so it's kind of been in the dining room, not in a place of prominence.
What can you tell me about the artist or the subject of the painting? Or?
Well, Margaret Keane always did the large eyes, and that was her signature. I don't know what the name of this is, if it has a name.
Well, the work of Margaret Keane has gone through considerable discussions over the years. There is a 10-year lawsuit between Walter, her husband,
yes,
who claimed to be the author of the paintings, and Margaret, who claimed to be the artist. There is a court trial in Honolulu, federal court, where they settled the matter by Margaret Keane and Walter had to paint a painting.
I see, yes.
And Walter begged off, and Margaret did one in 53 minutes. And so she won the lawsuit.
Ah, interesting.
And resolved it. I think it was in 1986.
Oh, that recently?
Yeah. There is far more to the story than we'll go into here, but she was basically locked in a room and made to paint by her husband. These waifs were her signature.
I see, yes.
Yeah. Margaret Keane worked primarily with acrylics, which dry very quickly. It allowed her to produce a number of paintings in a day.
By 1965, Margaret Keane had become a household name, widely recognized for her emotionally charged images of children and figures with oversized, expressive eyes. These works emerged during a time of rapid cultural change in post-war America, when popular art was increasingly shaped by mass media, consumer culture, and growing interest in psychology and emotional interiority. Despite the immense popularity of her paintings, Keane's authorship was largely hidden at the time due to her troubled marriage to Walter Keane, who falsely claimed credit for her work. As a result, paintings from the mid-1960s are especially significant. They were created at the height of the Big Eyes phenomenon, before the true story behind the images became widely known. This example is characteristic of Keane's work from the period. The large, haunting eyes immediately command attention, conveying vulnerability, loneliness, and emotional depth. The simplified figurative composition allows the viewer to focus on expression rather than narrative detail, while the muted, carefully controlled color palette reinforces themes of innocence, isolation, and inner life. Keane's use of acrylic paint enabled smooth layering and crisp clarity, giving her figures a polished surface that contrasts poignantly with their emotional intensity. Today, paintings like this are valued not only as cultural touchstones of the 1960s, but also as enduring symbols of an artist who ultimately reclaimed her voice, her identity, and her rightful place in art history.
Today, the auction values are $5,000 to $7,000, maybe $5,000 to $8,000, but you might wait. Burton has a collection of them. Keane has been an interest over the years, so you might wait and see how that film turns out.
All right.
Everyone thinks that the value in art is constant, but it does change with other events.
I see.
So,
very interesting.
Yeah, thanks very much for bringing it in.
Mel Gray, one of my favorite NFL players ever. Four-time Pro Bowler, right?
Oh, yeah.
Seven-time All-Pro. What do you have?
Well, I have an Ali robe, and I noticed he signed it twice. I got it at an NFL fundraiser. I think it was right around 2000, 2001.
Okay.
NFL fundraisers have long been recognized for offering exceptional memorabilia donated by some of the most influential figures in sports history. These events unite philanthropy with legacy, giving collectors and supporters the rare chance to acquire objects that carry deep cultural significance and personal provenance, all while supporting charitable causes connected to the sport and its wider community. This robe, signed by Muhammad Ali, stands as a striking example of such an offering. Ali, widely regarded as one of the greatest boxers of all time, transcends athletics to become a global symbol of confidence, conviction, and social impact. His presence inside and outside the ring is legendary, and personal items associated with him, especially a robe, a garment closely tied to his public image and pre-fight rituals, carry exceptional meaning. Of particular importance is the inscription on the robe, which reads, Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. This dual-name signature is especially significant and is most often associated with the late 1990s, a period when Ali occasionally acknowledges both his birth name and his chosen name. By this time, he is universally celebrated as a living legend, and such signatures reflect the full arc of his personal and historical journey. The inclusion of both names on a single signed piece elevates the robe beyond a standard autograph. It bridges two defining chapters of Ali's life, the young Cassius Clay rising to prominence and the enduring figure of Muhammad Ali, revered worldwide for resilience, courage, and influence. The signature becomes a statement of identity, history, and transformation. As a result, this signed robe stands as more than sports memorabilia. It is a powerful artifact that honors Muhammad Ali's lasting legacy, enriched by its connection to an NFL fundraiser and distinguished by its rare dual-name signature. Together, these elements create a compelling object that celebrates athletic greatness, personal history, and the charitable spirit that brought it into public view.
And what'd you pay for?
I paid $2,500. There was a gentleman in the room who bid it $2,000. So I went up to $2,500. There was no more bids, and I took it from that point.
So admittedly, you pushed.
I pushed
a little
it,
high.
yeah.
So I don't mind
yeah.
telling you that you overpaid slightly. Now, with his recent passing, we will see, I think, an increase in the values, and that will shoot up. Today, that auction is valued at about $1,500 to $2,000. So you're right there, right around what you paid for it. But as you acknowledge, you pushed a little bit.
Certainly, that's okay. I would have paid $10,000 to get anything that he signed.
My daughter got tickets for the Roadshow, and it's the only thing I could think I'd bring, because it's the only antique thing I've got at home, besides my wife.
So how long have you had it?
About 52 years.
Really?
Yes.
And are you still playing it?
Oh, yeah, I play it every day. No, not this one. I play my other one, but I used to play this one. I haven't played this in about 8 years. I've had it stored. Saved. Yeah.
Right.
About 8 years ago, I found out it was like an antique.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided not to play it.
It's from late 1962.
Okay.
And it's a Stratocaster, which is pretty obvious with the decal on the headstock.
Mm-hmm.
The Fender Stratocaster is born from the visionary mind of Leo Fender, whose ambition is to create an electric guitar that unites innovation, comfort, and reliability for working musicians. Introduced in the early 1950s, the Stratocaster quickly emerged as a symbol of modern music, reflecting Fender's belief that instruments should evolve in step with the artists who play them. By 1962, Fender's craftsmanship reaches a confident maturity. Guitars from this period are admired for their balanced alder bodies, smooth maple necks, and careful hand finishing. The electronics, including the single-coil pickups and synchronized tremolo system, are precisely assembled to deliver clarity, responsiveness, and tonal versatility that come to define the sound of the era. What sets this particular Stratocaster apart is its sonic blue finish. Inspired by mid-century American automotive colors, sonic blue is offered as a custom color rather than a standard option. Over time, the pale blue lacquer naturally ages into a soft greenish hue, giving surviving examples a distinctive character that is both visually striking and highly collectible. The Sonic Blue Stratocaster attained legendary status when it was famously used by John Lennon and George Harrison during the recording of Nowhere Man in 1965. Their choice brings the color into the global spotlight, transforming Sonic Blue from a rare custom finish into one of the most iconic and recognizable looks in electric guitar history. This moment marks more than a celebrity association. It signals a shift in how guitars are perceived. Lennon and Harrison demonstrate that an electric guitar can be both a powerful musical instrument and a bold visual statement, reinforcing the Stratocaster's role as an emblem of creativity, individuality, and cultural change. Today, a 1962 Sonic Blue Fender Stratocaster stands as a remarkable convergence of visionary design, refined craftsmanship, and musical history. It embodies a period when innovation and artistry align, leaving behind an instrument that continues to inspire musicians and collectors alike.
Have you ever had a real appraisal of the guitar before?
No, not really. No, that's what I've been offered. But
So what were you offered for it?
I was offered $35,000 for it one time, and then I refused that, and they offered me $40,000. But I refused that too.
In today's market, in a specialty vintage guitar store or something like that, a guitar like this might bring $45,000 and maybe even higher. So it's definitely desirable, and the custom color Strats have come back. They took quite a hit in the recession, but their values are coming back again. So,
well, it's good. Good to know.
I grew up in Pennsylvania, and in the wintertime there wasn't much to do. So I used to write letters to like actresses and actors, and I got autographs. Well, I had a pen pal from England. Her brother was in a band in Liverpool, and they had known the Beatles. And she said that if she ever got to meet them, she would try to get an autograph for me.
Okay.
So this is what she sent me.
And what was your friend's name?
Her name was Potty, P-U-D-D-Y.
And when you look at the program here, it is from the Beatles show.
The Beatles emerged in the early 1960s as a cultural force that reshapes popular music and youth culture across the world. Composed of John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, the group rises swiftly from performances in Liverpool and Hamburg to international fame, defining what soon becomes known as Beatlemania. By 1963, they are no longer simply a successful band. They stand as a global phenomenon. Their live performances during this period are electrifying and unlike anything seen before. Concert halls and theaters overflow with fans whose excitement often overwhelms the sound of the music itself, transforming each appearance into a historic event. Programs sold at these shows become treasured keepsakes, offering fans a tangible connection to the band at the height of its early ascent. The desire to obtain autographs from the Beatles is intense, driven by a longing for personal connection to the group. Signatures acquired directly at concerts or backstage are especially coveted, and when preserved on an official concert program, their importance increases dramatically. This particular program, bearing handwritten signatures, powerfully reflects that devotion and immediacy. Authentic Beatles autographs carry exceptional weight, particularly because their immense popularity leads to countless imitations over time. Genuine examples from the early 1960s are closely scrutinized and highly valued, making verified signatures such as these especially significant to collectors and historians alike. What elevates this program to an extraordinary level is the presence of every member's signature, each appearing 3 times. Complete, multi-signed pieces from this early period are exceedingly rare, placing this program far beyond ordinary memorabilia and firmly within the realm of major cultural artifacts. As a surviving object from 1963, this signed Beatles program captures a moment when music, youth culture, and history converge. It stands as a lasting testament to the band's unity, their meteoric rise, and the enduring fascination that continues to surround the Beatles to this day.
Very conservative estimate at auction would be $15,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and could go much higher. I mean, it's just an incredible piece, super rare, and any Beatles collector would just love to have a piece like this.
I come from a family of collectors, and these were purchased by my parents in Paris back in probably the late 50s, early 60s. They had a favorite art gallery on the Rue de Faubourg by the name of Iris Clare, and she was quite an exotic woman who carried very avant-garde art.
Well, these are very exotic and avant-garde as well.
Gaston Chaysac is a French artist often associated with art brut, a movement that values raw, instinctive creativity outside academic traditions. Born in the late 19th century, Chaysac developed a highly personal visual language, working largely on the margins of the formal art world, while earning recognition for the originality and honesty of his expression. Throughout his career, Chaysac produces paintings, drawings, collages, and writings that reveal a deep engagement with everyday materials and unconventional techniques. His work reflects the influence of major modern artists, particularly Pablo Picasso, whose freedom of form and distortion of the human figure strongly resonate with Chaysac's own instincts. Chaysac is especially known for his use of anthropomorphic shapes that often recall prehistoric figures, childlike drawings, and primitive symbols. These forms give his work a timeless quality, blurring the boundary between ancient imagery and modern expression. The figures presented here reflect his fascination with humanity in its most basic, instinctive state. The group of works shown demonstrates the breadth of his techniques and materials. One piece is executed as a collage, combining elements in a spontaneous and expressive manner. Another is rendered in ink on paper, highlighting strong line work and graphic clarity, while the final work, painted in oil on canvas, reveals a richer surface and a deeper engagement with color and texture. Together, these works capture the essence of Chaysac's artistic vision, unpolished yet intentional, simple yet deeply expressive.
I would value the collage at between $20,000 and $40,000. The oil on canvas between $30,000 and $50,000, and the drawing at between $5,000 and $10,000.
You are surprising me.
They're wonderful
Very
pieces.
Surprised.
I worked for Hallmark Cards in Kansas City, Missouri before moving to California 33 years ago. I was a Peanuts fan for a long time and came up with the idea to use Peanuts on greeting cards, and I had to sell the idea to the creative committee. As a result, they ended up with a whole big line of Hallmark Peanuts products. And I went out to work with Charles Schulz in 1960 for the first time and worked with him for 12 years in developing all the Hallmark Peanuts products. And he gave me some of the original strips and some of the original artwork.
Peanuts emerged in the mid-20th century as one of the most influential comic strips in popular culture, capturing everyday life, gentle humor, and quiet philosophy through deceptively simple line drawings. Centered on a world of children led by Charlie Brown and the endlessly imaginative Snoopy, the strip becomes a mirror of universal emotions such as hope, insecurity, persistence, and resilience. Behind this enduring universe stands Charles M. Schulz, whose distinctive visual language and understated wit transform the newspaper comic into a form of modern storytelling. With minimal lines and precisely timed dialogue, Schulz conveys complex emotional states, allowing readers to recognize themselves in his characters. His restrained style and emotional honesty make his work instantly recognizable and deeply beloved across generations. The works presented here align closely with this formative creative period and include original drawings from Snoopy Daily Dozen, a project that brings Schulz's characters into everyday domestic life beyond the newspaper page. These drawings reveal his hand at its most direct, capturing the clarity, rhythm, and spontaneity that define his artistic process. Also included is an original strip from 1957 titled It's Only a Game, a short-lived but meaningful sports-themed series. This work highlights Schultz's interests beyond peanuts and demonstrates his versatility, showing how his observational humor extends naturally into themes of competition, frustration, and human behavior. Completing the display are pencil drawings created for greeting cards from the same era, offering a softer and more intimate view of Schultz's work. Together, these pieces form a cohesive portrait of an artist at a pivotal moment, as his characters actively shape popular culture and stand as timeless symbols of warmth, humor, and quiet reflection.
The estimates I'm going to give you are basically conservative auction estimates, and the sky's the limit when it comes to Charles Schulz stuff. It's the hottest comic art right now on the market.
Okay.
Easily, I would estimate each of these at $6,000 to $9,000.
Each?
Each piece. There's 14 of them, okay?
Right.
Now, when we go up here onto your daily, it's fantastic. You have Charlie in all 4 panels, and it's early 60s, I think, 61 or 61.
Right.
Okay. Again, conservative estimate, $8,000 to $10,000 for that daily. When you jump up here to the pencil roughs, you have a nice little grouping here, not as attractive to collectors, but still historically very important. And a conservative estimate on that would be $4,000 to $6,000 as a group. When you come over here to It's Only a Game, since it's not a Peanuts-related strip, I don't know if it's going to be as interesting to the Peanuts collector as it might be if it had any of the characters in it. But still, just from a historic point of view, you got to estimate these at $4,000 to $6,000 each. Now, Sunday pages are really desirable, and these are terrific. You have Linus and Lucy. You have Linus, Lucy, and Snoopy. Great years. I think these are 59. And on a conservative side, I'm going to estimate these anywhere from $12,000 to $18,000 each. I think if you add it all up, I wouldn't be surprised to see you come out anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 on a piece-by-piece basis. Absolutely not. And if you're going to insure it, you'd probably want to insure it for a little bit more than the high estimate.
I was going to say, I had these on a shelf in my closet, and I think...
not a good place for them anymore.
Not a good place for them anymore.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
I have a retirement or card that was presented to my great-great-aunt.
And who presented it to your great-great-aunt?
It was Robert Kennedy when he was the Attorney General.
And what kind of job did your great-aunt do at the...
I don't really know. That was one thing, unfortunately, I never asked. She either worked in the White House or worked directly with Robert Kennedy.
Robert F. Kennedy stands as one of the most compelling figures in American political history, remembered not only as the younger brother of President John F. Kennedy, but also for his own formidable legacy as Attorney General of the United States during the early 1960s. In this role, he is widely recognized for his unwavering commitment to justice, civil rights, and ethical responsibility, viewing public office not simply as a position of power, but as a profound moral duty. Beyond his official responsibilities, Robert F. Kennedy is deeply defined by the way he treats those around him. Colleagues and staff consistently describe him as empathetic, attentive, and sincerely concerned for the personal well-being of others. He values loyalty, recognizes human vulnerability, and leads with an understanding that compassion is an essential part of true leadership. These personal qualities are clearly reflected in this inscribed card from 1964, written to a member of his staff during a time of illness. Rather than allowing such a gesture to be handled by aides or reduced to formality, Kennedy takes the time to write personally, offering encouragement, warmth, and genuine concern. During this period, personal correspondence of this nature from a senior government official is exceptionally rare. An era often marked by hierarchy and emotional distance between leadership and staff, this handwritten message stands apart. It preserves a seldom-seen dimension of political life where authority and compassion quietly coexist. Preserved alongside its original box, this inscribed card stands as more than a historical artifact. It remains a deeply personal testament to Robert F. Kennedy's character. It captures leadership in its most human form, expressed not through speeches or policy, but through empathy and care, leaving a lasting impression of integrity, humility, and genuine human connection.
The condition of it is not 100%.
Right, yeah.
There was some staining that has affected the signature and the actual inscription. So that kind of takes away from the value. On the other hand, the sentiment is heartfelt, and of course the person who signed it, Bobby Kennedy, incredibly important. At auction, I would say a conservative estimate would be $400 to $600 for the note.
Okay.
And the box for the package.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much for bringing it in.
Thank you.
Well, in 1968, I was a cameraman for CBS.
Right.
You know, the streets were full of the hippies and yippies who were going to disrupt the convention and run a pig for president. And I was hit by the cops in 68.
At the riots, the 68
At the
convention riots.
Yes.
And that's you.
That's me, yes,
You
it
poor
is.
guy. I mean, you really look like you've been battered up pretty bad.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. My correspondent was a guy named Jack Lawrence, and he had just come back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And he took his walkie-talkie and he says, "We're taking casualties." So
serious stuff.
We were walking with a group of people from Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
Who were pretty good. They were only like 2 cops minding him keeping him on the sidewalk.
Right.
But when Division got to LaSalle Street, a whole bunch of cops came running around the corner, and I had my back turned to them, so they didn't see me or anything. They just took a swing at me.
In August of '68, I mean, this was the epicenter of what was going on with the riots and the anti-war protests, the yippies, like you said.
Yeah.
Abby Hoffman. It's a Chicago 7.
Chicago 7.
It was Chicago 8.
It was Chicago 8, but one of the guys was sent out of court.
Bobby Seale.
Bobby Seale,
Bobby Seale was a Black Panther as well.
Yeah, yeah.
The Chicago 7 emerged during a moment of profound political and social unrest in the United States, as the late 1960s are defined by opposition to the Vietnam War, generational conflict, and widespread protest. What begins as demonstrations surrounding the Democratic National Convention in Chicago quickly escalates into one of the most controversial political confrontations of the era, placing activism, free speech, and government authority in direct opposition. As tensions intensify, the conflict moves from the streets into the courtroom, resulting in a highly publicized federal trial that captures both national and international attention. The defendants, Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Tom Hayden, Rennie Davis, David Dellinger, John Froines, and Lee Weiner, stand accused of conspiracy and of crossing state lines to incite unrest. The trial itself becomes a defining symbol of the era, marked by dramatic exchanges, political theater, and sharp divisions over justice and dissent. At the center of this legal struggle is this subpoena issued in 1969, formally compelling the defendants to appear before the court. This document represents the government's effort to impose order during a period of upheaval, while also marking the precise moment when protest movements are transformed into a historic legal battle. What makes this subpoena especially significant is the presence of all 7 signatures. Each signature directly connects the document to the individuals who define the case, transforming an official legal paper into a powerful artifact of protest history. Together, the signatures capture the collective identity of a group that challenges the system from within its own legal framework. More than a legal record, this signed subpoena stands as a rare and tangible witness to a defining chapter in American history. It embodies resistance, accountability, and the enduring tension between authority and dissent, preserving the voices of the Chicago 7 within a single, remarkable document.
An auction estimate that I would feel comfortable putting on this would be $5,000 to $7,000. As an auction estimate, I would insure it for about $10,000.
Really? It's not insured now.
I mean, it's just, you couldn't repeat that now, and you'd have to be at that right place at the right time, as you were.
I brought this sculpture. It's sort of like a wind chime. It makes noise. It was from my parents. When my father died, it was always at their house, and then after my mother died, many years later, my brothers and I divided things up. And my mother always thought that my dad had made it. And when it was time to divide things up, my brothers weren't interested, and I, being an art teacher, I was interested, and so I got it. And then one year I saw something similar on Antiques Roadshow, and I wrote down the name, and I looked him up on the internet, and my cousin and I applied for these tickets, thinking that if I got here, I would bring the sculpture. I had it on my porch, and my dogs, their tail would hit it and would make noise. And my cousin kept saying, "You have it on the porch, you better get off the porch." And finally I said, "It's off the porch."
Harry Bertoia, an Italian-born American artist, sculptor, and designer, is celebrated for his inventive exploration of form, sound, and space. Trained in both architecture and fine art, he developed a distinctive creative language that bridges visual aesthetics and auditory experience, earning recognition as one of the most innovative artists of the mid-20th century. His work challenges conventional boundaries, emphasizing the interconnectedness of art, environment, and human perception. During the mid-1960s, Bertoia increasingly focused on his Sonambient series, a groundbreaking collection of sculptures designed to explore the interaction of movement, sound, and environment. These works were far from static. They were experiments in capturing invisible forces and translating them into tangible, multisensory experiences. The Sonambient series represents a pivotal moment in Bertoia's career, demonstrating his commitment to combining sculpture and sound in entirely new ways. This particular sculpture is crafted from beryllium copper, a material prized for both its resilience and its resonant qualities. Bertoia drew inspiration from the wheat fields of his childhood, transforming the gentle sway and rhythm of the stalks into vertical rods that respond to the surrounding environment. Some rods remain straight, while others widen into cattails, introducing variation that enhances both visual appeal and acoustic richness, creating a dynamic interplay between form and function. A defining characteristic of the Sonambient series is its kinetic and sonic nature. When air passes through the rods, the sculpture produces subtle melodic sounds, transforming the viewer's engagement from purely visual to multisensory. Each interaction with its environment animates the piece, ensuring that no two experiences are identical. The craftsmanship of this sculpture further underscores Bertoia's mastery. Each rod is carefully shaped, tuned, and balanced to achieve optimal resonance, demonstrating an extraordinary attention to detail. The combination of handwork, material quality, and inventive design makes this piece not only visually compelling, but also a functional instrument of sound, blurring the line between sculpture and musical object. This Sonambient sculpture stands as a testament to Harry Bertoia's visionary approach, where art is not only seen, but heard and felt. Through its combination of innovative design, exquisite material, and interactive sound, it invites audiences into a meditative dialogue with nature and space, exemplifying the enduring influence of Bertoia's work on both art and sensory experience.
At auction, we would estimate this today at $20,000 to $30,000.
Wow, it's pretty good. Almost getting choked up. It's pretty exciting.
Those kind of heavier rods on the top keep it moving a little longer and make a sound that's a bit louder.
I bought them new when I was about 11 and 12 years old, and I put them in a box, and for the last 50-something years they've sort of sat in that box. I got inspired when Antiques Roadshow came to town, and I thought I'd bring them in.
Oh, very cool. So you remember back in the day in 1962
I love
and
these
63.
comics. These were great. Marvel was, I thought, the best comics.
Marvel Comics, founded in 1939 by Martin Goodman, has grown into one of the most influential publishers in the comic book industry. From its early beginnings as timely publications to the modern Marvel Universe, the company has created a rich tapestry of superheroes, stories, and iconic characters that have captivated generations. Comic collecting has become a passion for many enthusiasts who seek to preserve these pieces of pop culture history. Individual collections not only showcase rare and valuable issues, but also reflect a love for storytelling, artistry, and the evolution of the medium over decades. This particular collection features notable Fantastic Four issues 48 to 52, which introduced groundbreaking characters and storylines, including the arrival of new supervillains and dramatic plot developments that expanded the Marvel Universe. These issues remain highly sought after for both their narrative significance and collectible value. In addition, the collection includes key issues of Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man, and Deadpool, each with unique stories that highlight the creativity, drama, and cultural impact of Marvel's heroes. These comics provide insight into the development of characters, crossover events, and the evolving style of comic book art. Maintaining such a collection is significant not only for its financial value, but also as a historical archive of pop culture. Preserving original issues ensures that the artistry, storytelling, and cultural influence of Marvel Comics continue to inspire future generations. Overall, this Marvel collection represents a curated journey through decades of superhero storytelling, celebrating the creativity of its creators, the excitement of its characters, and the passion of collectors who keep the legacy of Marvel alive.
For the entire collection, I think you easily have $30,000 to $40,000 worth of comics here. So times 100 at 12 cents a piece. I mean, what are you in, like 10 bucks all in, $12? I mean, that's not too bad of a return on your investment.
I didn't really think of it as an investment at 12, but I guess it was.
I brought a watch that I found while thrifting.
And what made you pick out this piece?
It tickled me. Every time I touched it, it had heft, it had weight. And so once I did that,
Feeling of quality, huh?
feeling something, and I guess that's what quality feels like.
May I ask what you paid for it?
I paid about $100 or so.
This model is the large size of the Blancpain Aqualung.
Blancpain, founded in 1735 by Jean-Jacques Blancpain, is recognized as one of the oldest continuously operating watchmakers in the world. From its earliest beginnings, the Maison is guided by principles of precision, innovation, and technical rigor. These foundational values shape Blancpain's identity and ultimately position the brand as a leader. By the mid-20th century, Blancpain turned its attention toward the growing world of underwater exploration. Advances in diving technology and the rise of recreational and military diving create a demand for reliable timekeeping beneath the sea. Blancpain responds by developing watches specifically engineered for these extreme environments, combining traditional Swiss craftsmanship with modern functional design. The Aqualung model emerges from this moment as one of Blancpain's most important achievements. Closely associated with pioneers of underwater breathing equipment, the watch takes its name from the Aqualung apparatus itself, directly linking it to the expanding frontier of deep-sea discovery. It is conceived not as a luxury object, but as a professional instrument intended for real-world use by divers. Craftsmanship is central to Aqualung's design. Built to withstand depths of up to 1,000 feet, the watch features a robust case, a highly legible dial, and a secure rotating bezel that allows divers to measure elapsed time underwater. Every element is engineered for clarity, durability, and reliability, reflecting Blancpain's uncompromising approach to performance. A particularly notable feature of this example is its larger case size, which is considered advanced for its era. The increased scale enhances legibility in low-light underwater conditions and contributes to the bold, purposeful aesthetic that defines early dive watches. This commanding presence on the wrist adds to the model's appeal and distinguishes it from more conservative contemporaries. Today, the Blancpain Aqualung stands as a landmark in the history of dive watches. It represents the convergence of innovation, craftsmanship, and exploration, preserving a moment when horology evolves to meet the challenges of the natural world. As a result, it remains a highly respected and collectible symbol of underwater adventure and technical excellence.
Because it's a larger size, it's a very desirable model. So do you know how much your watch is worth?
12 or 13.
And you're 100 or 1,000 you're thinking?
Well, okay. Well, it would be nice if it were 1,000.
The value I'm giving you is just for the head of the watch, and a head is a watch without a bracelet or band on it. This particular model that you have, I think a low estimate would be $25,000, and I think it more likely would sell between $30,000 and $35,000 at auction today.
Oh my. It's very nice.
It actually belongs to my husband, but you know, Texas is a community property state, so I figure it's mine too. After having had his first Rolex bought off his wrist when we were living in South America, he went to the PX in Panama, we're retired military, and bought this. He bought it in 1966, and he was en route to Vietnam for the first tour. So it has endured a helicopter crash because he was with the first of the 9th of the 1st Cav Division. It went through another tour in Vietnam, and then he came home and was having a little brawl with our son, a fun time. Dropped the watch, broke it, so I had to have it repaired. So I sent it to my daughter with instructions, don't let it out of your sight. She took it to Rolex in Dallas. They repaired it. He's 88 years old, and now we have to have a new band put on it. What would you suggest? Should I send it back to Switzerland where they could repair it, or shall I send it to Dallas?
What was his rank?
Lieutenant Colonel. We call him our hero. Hey, he came back alive, but he came back wounded also.
Well, I think everybody here at Antiques Roadshow would thank him for his service.
Well, we certainly do.
So now, let's talk about the watch. It's a Rolex stainless steel GMT Master.
The Rolex GMT Master is created in line with the vision of Hans Wilsdorf, the founder of Rolex, who believes that wrist watches should unite precision, durability, and true real-world functionality. Originally designed for international pilots navigating multiple time zones, the GMT Master reflects Rolex's forward-thinking approach during the golden age of global air travel. By 1963, the craftsmanship of the GMT Master reaches a refined and highly reliable standard. This particular example, reference 675, clearly demonstrates the robust construction and technical precision for which Rolex is known at the time. Its design balances professional utility with understated elegance, allowing it to transition seamlessly from cockpit instrument to everyday companion. One of the most important features of this watch is its original bracelet, stamped with a 1963 date, confirming that it remains intact and unaltered since its production. The survival of the original band adds exceptional authenticity and significantly strengthens the historical integrity of the piece. The watch further features the iconic Pepsi bezel with its blue and red coloration, allowing pilots to distinguish day and night hours at a glance. This bold and practical design element becomes one of the most recognizable visual signatures in Rolex history and remains deeply associated with the GMT Master line. Equally significant are the pointed crown guards, a detail highly sought after by collectors today. Produced only for a brief period before Rolex transitions to rounded crown guards, this feature places the watch firmly within a narrow and desirable chapter of GMT Master production. Altogether, this 1963 Rolex GMT Master stands as a powerful convergence of innovation, craftsmanship, and originality. It represents Rolex's enduring commitment to functional excellence while maintaining timeless design, securing its place as one of the most respected and collectible watches ever created.
Start off with this watch at auction is worth $8,000 to $10,000.
Okay, good.
Good, right?
Big return on his investment.
Big return. Okay. Good. Here's the rest of the story.
My maternal grandparents in Liège, Belgium, they owned a shop that sold home furnishings. Every now and then they would go down to Paris and go to, what my mom called the market, where they look at, people selling different things. There was, I guess, a lady who sold jewelry and mirrors and stuff. They liked the mirrors, so they put an order in. When they received the order, this one had like a little piece that had been broken off, so they didn't think they could sell it, so they just kept it at home because they kind of liked the style. Apparently, they said they sold like hotcakes, and they tried to order some a few months later, but they could never really get in touch with the person again. So they had one left in the store, so they took that one as well. My parents have that one at their house, and when my maternal grandmother moved into long-term care, my parents gave this one that was in their house to me.
And do you know who made it?
I told somebody named Lynn Vautrin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
So you're doing a great job with the pronunciation. Her name was Lynn Vautrin.
Lynn Vautrin was a visionary French artist and designer, celebrated for her inventive approach to decorative arts in the mid-20th century. Working across jewelry, metalwork, and mirrors, she became known for transforming unconventional materials into bold, sculptural objects that blurred the line between art and design. During a period when desirable metals were scarce and difficult to obtain, Vautrin turned this limitation into an opportunity for innovation. She developed talocel, a composite resin, and used it to create striking mirrors such as this example from around 1960. Constructing a mirror from resin was both technically challenging and complex. The process required precise molding, careful curing, and meticulous finishing to ensure stability, balance, and visual harmony. Vautrin's ability to master these demands speaks to her brilliance as a craftswoman and her deep understanding of material behavior. At the center of the composition is a convex mirror made of mercury glass, a feature that adds both visual intrigue and symbolic depth. The curved surface distorts reflections, inviting interaction while enhancing the sculptural quality of the piece. This combination of innovative materials, technical mastery, and artistic vision defines Vautrin's work and sets her mirrors apart. Each piece feels both playful and sophisticated, reflecting her ability to elevate everyday objects into works of art. Today, this talocel mirror stands as a testament to Lynn Vautrin's creativity and resilience, capturing a moment when ingenuity overcame material scarcity and transformed constraint into enduring beauty.
Since then, there's been considerable interest in her work, and another example, smaller, sold for $40,000. So, in getting together with my colleagues, we feel a reasonable auction estimate for this mirror, as a beautiful mirror, would be $40,000 to $60,000.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I probably shouldn't keep it above the dog bowl anymore.
Photograph I got from my uncle. He collected old photographs. Since passed away, we inherited it. All I know is that it's by Diane Arbus from 1963, and it's called Woman in a Rooming House Parlor.
This is a photograph by Diane Arbus.
Diane Arbus emerges as one of the most influential photographers of the 20th century, celebrated for her uncompromising vision and her fascination with individuals living on the margins of society. Working primarily in black and white, she approaches her subjects with empathy and candor, crafting images that confront traditional notions of beauty, normality, and identity. She is widely regarded as one of the greatest photographers of her time due to her capacity to present subjects without idealization. Arbus allows the humanity of each person to emerge, unfiltered, creating works that challenge viewers to engage deeply with psychological and social realities. Her approach reshapes documentary and portrait photography, influencing generations of artists who follow. This particular photograph, titled Woman in the Room, exemplifies Arbus's distinctive style. The image captures a moment that is simultaneously intimate and unsettling, balancing vulnerability with quiet strength. It demonstrates her mastery of composition and her rare ability to reveal profound psychological depth within a single frame. Tragically, Diane Arbus passed away before this print was produced. Consequently, this work was printed posthumously by Neil Selkirk, the sole individual authorized to create prints from Arbus's negatives. Selkirk's careful execution ensures fidelity to Arbus's original vision, preserving the tonal quality, composition, and emotional resonance she intended. Posthumous prints of this nature hold a unique place in photographic history. Although produced after the artist's lifetime, they remain closely tied to the original creative act. particularly when executed under strict authorization and with careful adherence to the artist's techniques and standards. Overall, this Seacobb 1975 print stands as a lasting tribute to Diane Arbus's enduring legacy, a legacy defined by courage, honesty, and an unflinching exploration of the human condition, continuing to resonate powerfully decades after its conception.
The price of this at auction would be estimated at between $15,000 and $20,000. A few years ago, the price would have been much higher. During the period of her exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, there was tremendous excitement about her photography. It might have been $30,000 or $40,000.
What? My mother originally made the leathers, and after the jump that Evel Knievel made at Caesar's Palace, he brought them in to her to repair. And she repaired them, but he never picked them up or paid for the repairs.
Really? Wow. And so here's a picture right here of Evel at one of the jumps. As you see here, everything is all crisp and fresh and looking good. This Caesar's Palace jump here was December 1967.
Evel Knievel, the legendary daredevil, captivated the public with death-defying stunts, most famously his attempted Caesar's Palace jump. This daring feat solidified his reputation as a performer, willing to test the boundaries of human endurance and spectacle, turning each jump into an unforgettable event. Knievel became a cultural icon of the 1960s and 70s, known not only for his stunts, but for his charisma and showmanship. Every element of his persona, from motorcycles to carefully designed jumps and leather suits, was meticulously crafted to create a thrilling, larger-than-life performance that audiences worldwide would remember. High-quality leather was an essential component of Knievel's career. Suits like this example offered protection from abrasions, burns, and impact during extreme jumps, while simultaneously contributing to the visual identity that became synonymous with his daredevil image. The leathers were both functional and emblematic, reflecting the risk and bravado of his stunts. This particular leather suit shows evidence of years of intense use, bearing the marks, scuffs, and fading that come from countless jumps and tumbles. Each imperfection tells a story, making the garment a tangible witness to the challenges and physical toll of Knievel's career. The craftsmanship of the suit reflects a careful balance between protection, flexibility, and style. Designed to allow maximum mobility without compromising safety, it illustrates the ingenuity behind stunt apparel of the period and its role in enabling Knievel's legendary performances. Ultimately, these Evel Knievel leathers transcend mere clothing. They stand as a testament to his audacity, skill, and enduring legacy, preserving the spirit of risk, spectacle, and showmanship that defined one of the most iconic figures in extreme performance history.
Auction would be $40,000 to $60,000.
Really? That's kind of amazing.
It's kind of amazing.
I know.